Hey, I want to talk to you guys today about why you shouldn't sign a record deal. But before I do, I want to tell you my story in when I signed, because I was just so desperate and thought that that was the way to the top. So I almost would have signed with anybody. And I had a good paying job at the time too. I was making like 60, 70K a year. I didn't need the money. And what's interesting, when I signed the deal, I didn't even get an advance. Okay, they didn't give me advance. They didn't give me money up front. When you sign an Inca deal normally, they give you an advance on record sales. And normally the advance kind of tells you what the label thinks you're going to do or how successful you're going to be, right? And so obviously they didn't think I was going to be too successful. And you know what? The first record I wasn't. But the second record, that blew up in Japan and sold, I don't know how many tens and tens of thousands of albums. But what I didn't realize is because I was starting to get money from CD Baby and stuff from releasing an EP and an album, I didn't know that right when I signed with the label, instead of getting paid every week, I was getting paid once every quarter. Okay, so only 4 times a year as opposed to every week. But I didn't realize and didn't fully understand the contract, even though my lawyer told me I'd have to sell like 50,000 records to really make any money, which means is because they were taking between 70 and 80% of the income. So that's what you gotta understand. When you sign with the label, they're gonna be taking at least 70 to 80% depending on what your deal is. And honestly, if you were like me and you didn't have much of a track record, didn't have much of a fan base yet, they're gonna negotiate you down and they're gonna take a large percentage, okay? Because you're more of a risk, right? So they wanna make sure they get a good piece of that pie. But this is what I didn't realize either, is that look, they tapped into all the royalties. That means they're taking 80 to 70% of the YouTube royalties, of the sound exchange. If we got a TV film placement, they owned the master, and so that means that they would be getting 70 to 80% of that as well. And so you're giving up a lot when you sign with the label, and then the only way you're forced to make money to promote the record is they're going to say, go on tour, go on tour, go on tour, go on tour, and promoted all these, old school ways. Not saying that touring is, old school. It's still a great way to promote a record once touring fully comes back, of course. But, the idea is that, man, you lose your income right away. And they normally own that record for life. In my instance, it was a licensing deal, so I got my record back after 5 to 7 years, which is an extremely long time. If I was to ever do a deal again, it would definitely only be a licensing deal. They would never get control of the master. There would have to be certain clauses in there that they wouldn't get a second record unless we sold a certain amount of records or hit certain radio charts or certain exposure. Certain things would have to happen and meet certain marks for us to continue to do business together again. That's what we're really talking about, because this is the label's a business partner. That's what they are. And so you want to make sure that this business partner that you're going into business with is going to be fair with you. I don't know about you, but I like business relationships where we both win. And I understand if one business partner in that label is taking all of the risk and they're putting out most of the risk and out most of the money, well, then guess what? They should probably get most of the reward. And this is, again, what most artists don't understand, or I didn't understand, is that, they're the ones who are taking the big financial risk. I'm just going in the studio, having a good time, writing the songs. But at the same time, they need to make sure they're really doing their part, so that we both win. And hopefully that's them promoting the junk out of my record and your record, and us really getting out there, building a massive fan base, getting, pumped into their marketing machine, whether that's their radio team, publicist team, all their different contacts, festival contacts, touring contacts, the whole thing. You're getting plugged into the machine. That's why you're partnering with them, right? Because you're trying to get that massive exposure. But we're living in a day and time now where you don't need a label as much, not nearly as much. Unless you're going like real hardcore mainstream radio, you do not need a label like you used to. You have access to almost the exact same tools, whether it's social media marketing, influencers, TV and film stuff, YouTube, ads, running all this stuff. You have this exact same access. I don't know, my lips look like they're extra red from the light. Looks like I was like wearing lipstick. But you have the exact same access to all the same tools. And so I encourage you, don't be so quick to run into a deal thinking a label is going to save you, because you know what? They're not. And I was so happy to get out of the deal that I got out of. And, you know, like my friend says, you can pay me $1 million to re-sign with a record deal again, because now once you have released a couple of records and gotten the experience under your belt, and you learn how to market it, and you get better and you get better and you get better, you're going to get more confident. Just like the first time you stepped into a vocal booth, you probably weren't too confident. But then you stepped in again and you got better. You got coached by the producer. He helped you to sing and hit those notes. And, you know, you built up your swag and your attitude and just, you know, your style as a singer. But that didn't happen the very first time, did it? It took quite a few songs and writing songs to write great songs. You worked with maybe a lot of producers, a lot of songwriters to develop that. Well, isn't that the same thing with releasing records? You know, each record you release, you're going to learn something, right? You're going to build up your contacts. You're going to build your fan base, and you're going to get better and better at this. And I think, I know I thought this way, that like, look, this is my first record. It's got to be like out the park, you know, like it's got to be the biggest thing, the best thing. And obviously we want that, and I want that for you. Of course I do, right? But, you know, I've realized that, you know, longevity and having a long-term career. And now it's not even just about albums, it's about songs now and singles. But, you know, your first song might not be the biggest one, but your second one might be, or your third one. Like I said, it wasn't my first indie EP. It wasn't my first indie album. It wasn't the first album on the label that blew up. It was the fourth one that did really, really good in Japan. But it wasn't until the sixth album that really took off in the US and Canada and North America and really worldwide. So it was 6 albums, you know, but was it worth it? Yeah, it is. 14 albums later, it was worth it, and still here making music and getting out there. So just want you to think long term, and don't be so quick to sell your rights away, sell your masters away, sell your future away. Have you ever seen that movie Draft Day, where I think it's I can't remember the name of the actor. He's the dude in Robin Hood too. I want to know the name of the actor. Put it below if you can remember the actor. It's not Bruce Willis. It's anyways, the movie Draft Day, and he's trying to sign different football players, and he gives away his 3 picks. And the manager of the football team, I don't really know football, gets ticked off at him. He's like, you signed away our future, because they were able to get this amazing quarterback, but the manager's like, well, what did you give away to get that? You know? And so what I'm saying to you, what are you giving away to get that record deal? Do you really understand what it is you're giving away? Are you giving away your future in a sense? You know what I'm saying? So I want you to really, you know, think about that before you just rush into some deal and sign away your life, and, you know, stay indie for a while, learn the ropes, build a fan base, and then honestly, so that you can go to that table with some negotiating chips, so you can come out with your trump card, you know what I'm saying? As opposed to honestly not having anything. And that's what it was like for me. It was like, oh, I toured Canada and I played 3 shows in the US, but I didn't have like I didn't have a record sales history, you know? And so I had no negotiation power. But guess what? When I re-signed and negotiated with different labels in different countries, you better believe I was able to negotiate a much favorable deal for me and my family. Because that's what it's about, right? So, hey, hope this is encouraging you. Go to smartmusicbusiness.com to pick up any courses, programs, or if you want to get on coaching and you want some coaching, go to fanbaseuniversity.com, and you can get some coaching with me twice a month, and also access to our private Facebook group. And it's just really awesome. Would love to meet you and help you figure this thing out and point you in the right direction. Peace, y'all.